right, thank you. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Leanne Pyle. She received her PhD in Earth and Ocean Sciences from the University of Victoria. She is president of VI Geoscience Services Limited, a consultancy that she founded in 2009. Her research interests include integrated stratigraphy, biostratigraphy, basin analysis, and cordilleran geology. And we had a wonderful breakfast talking about conidines. So the talk today is Correlation of Devonian Horn River Group in Mackenzie Plain, Central Mackenzie Corridor of the Northwest Territories. Please join me in welcoming Leanne Pyle.
Thanks, Jen. So here we go on a 6.6-minute tour of the Devonian Horn River Group, and I'll be showing you some outcrop sections, why it's important to have outcrop analogs, and the importance of chemostratigraphy in correlation problems. Okay, so starting off, the Horn River Group consists of the Hare Indian and the ramparts and the canal formations. And we're proposing a new reference section because the type sections of each of these are poor for various reasons. And this will serve as a place where we can come for a standard for correlation, a template for these units. And through each of these, we are sampling characteristics of each unit. The study area lies here in Mackenzie Plain in the central Mackenzie corridor, flanked by the Mackenzie Mountains and the Franklin Mountains, and to the south, the Liard Plateau. The anchor community is Norman Wells. And at Norman Wells, then, there is an oil pipeline in place as infrastructure, and it does have a conventional reefal oil play there. So there's lots of development wells around the community, but fairly sparse exploration wells in this area. So we've sampled some of these wells in yellow dots to make 5 transects, as well as the outcrops, about 30 of these stations in pink squares. Sampled them for organic richness and whole rock geochemistry and mineralogy. So within the stratigraphic framework in the central Mackenzies, this package lies on a long-lived carbonate platform succession. The uppermost unit is the Hume, and then you get this important influx of organic-rich siliciclastic rocks on top of that, with an intervening carbonate called the ramparts. And what I'd like you to take away from the talk today is that where we get the ramparts carbonate developed, there's a very thin canal formation on top, and typically a thick Hare Indian formation below. Where the ramparts is absent, the canal greatly thickens up and is shale on the Hare Indian, making it tricky to pick out. And here's an example of that. So canal shale sitting directly on the 2 members of the Hare Indian called the Bluefish and the Bell Creek. Now our approach at Outcrop is to run this handheld scintillometer to get a gamma ray profile, so we have a comparative tool to the subsurface. And in addition to that, we have sampled through either 1 meter or 3 meter, sometimes 2 meter intervals. The blue lines are showing how we go up these cliffs and measure them, scint them, and sample. There's the Hume carbonate, Hare Indian, ramparts, and canal. That's another view of that reference section. And continued up to the overlying imperial. The next series of slides are images from that proposed reference section with the strat log, our scint profile, TOCs, and uranium concentrations measured from the lithogeochem. These histograms show that there's excellent source rock quality in each of these 4 units. The canal is shown in the gray here in the next slide sets. The next piece of information we add to this, keep your eye on the gray here, then is silica. And what we can mark the base of the canal formation as is having a large spike in silica, shown right there, that big spike. And we know that this is likely biogenic due to this cross plot of zirconium versus silica that had that negative slope trend. The next pieces of our profiles or parameters that we're using to characterize this reference section are some proxies for terrigenous input. So we've taken from our sampling here a whole bunch of different oxides and summed them up as a terrigenous input profile, and also used the thorium over uranium. And you can see how the values of this differ from the Hare Indian compared to the canal. So canal had less terrigenous input compared to the Bluefish and Bell Creek members, for example, in the Hare Indian. Okay, that's my time to breathe. Okay, now what we've done is then to apply this to the subsurface. So what I showed last year we didn't show this colorization, so the picks in this well were all canal. What we know now by applying this is that we can pick out the imperial, canal and gray, and lo and behold in this well, both members of the Hare Indian are present. And so what we can do now is extend this to the other wells, and we've revised the TOPS picks for each of these formations and their respective members across the Mackenzie Plain. It's also helped where we've had those lithogeochem samples to characterize particularly this newly named member, the Bell Creek. And you can see it has a subtle difference in the gamma ray, and that was often just lumped in with canal. Okay, so from that, we've done revised isopac mapping. So here's the bluefish member, which sits as a reliable marker. Here's the cume carbonate, and then bam, you get the bluefish, very abrupt. And we know it thickens toward the south here in the study area. And you can get thicknesses in excess of 50 meters of this very organic rich unit. The Bell Creek member that sits on top also thickens toward the south into this region referred to sometimes as root basin, and then off toward the Peel Plateau and Plain. This member often thickens up. But it's organic lean up here, organic rich, south of about 65 degrees. Okay, the other interesting shale unit that might be a potential self-sourcing reservoir is one within the Ramparts Formation itself, this Carcajou member. So we've had a stab at going back to look at it, and it also can get upwards of 30 meters thick within the study area, but localized because it's only within the Ramparts Formation proper. And then finally the canal. Just to impress upon you that this does reach thicknesses greater than 150 meters, so very silicious, organic rich, has these interesting thickening trends. If anybody wants to talk to me about that, I'd love to hear ideas about those. So a very prolific source rock, regionally extensive. So to put this up again in summary, so where you've got the thick ramparts, very thin draping over canal, canal thickens toward the east-southeast. We can trace it through select wells, and this dark green is the bluefish, which is a reliable marker you can pick across the region. The Hare Indian changes facies, and all of these are, have complex facies relationships. All right, so in summary, we need some reference sections for these units, places you can go to touch the rocks. This is a widespread set of formations in Mackenzie Plain, all of which have intervals of organic, total organic carbon content indicating organic richness. And thank you. I'd just like to conclude by acknowledging federal funding to the Northwest Territories Geoscience Office through which this project was run. And there's a new report available through their website that has all these updated interpretations. And that's it.